The drive west from Townsville to Charters Towers along the Great Tropical Drive is well worn by gold miners and merchants that journeyed from around Australia, Asia and Europe in search of the next big find. And they found it. Well, that's not the whole truth. In fact, it was a little boy named Jupiter who apparently found the gold, as Michael Brumby tells us.
Well, we've always told ourselves that Jupiter Mossman was the true claimant to the finding of the gold in Charters Towers in January 1872. He apparently was the horseboy with a party of 3 prospectors. There was Hugh Mossman, Jack Fraser or John Fraser and George Clark. Now, the story they told never included poor old Jupiter, but he was the man to live on further than what these 3 fellas did. And because by virtue of living in the town, he was able to tell his story. And everybody accepts that it was his story that when they lost their horses after a terrific thunderstorm, Jupiter as a horseboy was told to go out and find the horses, else they really couldn't go further on into the bush prospecting. And he went over the hill, just over the back here in Towers Hill, and the story goes that he was looking down into the stream and looked into the stream and could see these sparkles of gold, and of course being with prospectors he knew what he was looking at. Apparently found the horses, brought them back and brought back the news that he'd found the gold. And they followed him back over the hill and they found that there was masses of gold where Jupiter had told them. So the rest is history. Jupiter lived on in the town as an old man, a well-respected man who saw his days out at Eventide Home and passed away as an old man in 1945. So we always like to think that Jupiter found that gold.
Just over 1 hour's drive from Townsville, we'll have you at the signpost for Mingalah. From here, it's 40 kilometres to Ravenswood. This tiny gold mining town is a delight for the curious, with mullock heaps, chimney stacks, old wares and beautifully restored buildings, all testament to its long boom and bust history.
Ravenswood was a find by chance a couple of years before Charters Towers, around about 1868, 1869. A number of miners were shortcutting from Bowen heading towards the Cape River, which is west of here, and they were told by particular landowners on the eastern side of the Burdekin that there was gold, and they were convinced to stay because the pastoralist realised that if he could draw in people to live in the area and mine, then he had a terrific market for his cattle. So Ravenswood grew up from about 1869 and was our first true hope in North Queensland for an inland centre in North Queensland, close to Townsville. But out of that arose discoveries in Charters Towers which proved to be more sustaining. By the end of the good gold years, from about 1872 to about 1900, over 6 million ounces of gold had been taken out of Charters Towers, and like has been said before, it proved to be the richest and most producing gold field in the eastern seaboard of Australia. But Ravenswood was in many respects the birthplace of where Charters Towers eventually went to.